Hi everyone! So I'm doing a VR to the How I Tarot hashtag, which was originally created by the Three Fat Readers channel. And I first saw this tarot tag when I watched another awesome channel, which I recently discovered. It's called the Something Starts Ringing Tarot. So thanks guys for inspiring me with your questions and answers. Okay, so let's jump right in. The first question from Dani. Sorry if I'm butchering your names, guys. What sparked your interest in tarot? Tarot beginnings, tarot origin. Okay, so my mom started this all for me. She was the one who gifted me my first tarot deck, which is the Inner Child cards. It's this one. When I was about 14, she was taking an astrology course, and the teacher talked about tarot, and she got curious, and then she bought a deck for herself, and afterwards she decided to gift me one as well. I'm now 40 years old, so it's been a few years. I never really connected with this deck. The cards were too big at the time for me, even today. And I couldn't understand the pip cards. They were too abstract for me. The majors are easier to connect with, but not the pip cards. And I was always constantly having to look the meanings up in the guidebook. So once I got a bit older, I purchased another deck and I never got back to the first one. Okay, second question from Dani. Do you only use tarot in your readings, or do you add in other forms of divination? And what are they? So this is a bit of a longer answer. So when I was in college, I started taking tarot more seriously because it was helping me understand some situations that were happening in my life. And after a few years, I came across other oracles. Currently, I prefer to use several forms of divination, often together, to answer the same question, as I feel it helps me get a more detailed view of situations and also get more accurate future predictions. So the first one of divination strategies that I use is a cartomancy. I use tarot, Lenormand, and also other oracle decks, which don't really have any system behind it. And then I also use bibliomancy. I read a book to get divinatory answers and advice as well. I use the Ching, which is an ancient Chinese oracle. And this was one of the oldest books to ever been written, apparently. I've always been a big fan of books. I'm a book nerd, totally. And the first time I decided to open the book in a random page with the intention to get guidance with a random sentence from the I Ching, which apparently is how it's supposed to work with most bibliomancy tools. I got a sentence. The sentence I read was so accurate at the time and helpful for me that it really got me hooked. And I love using the I Ching because it's not only very accurate and precise for future predictions, but it's really also a philosophical book full of wisdom, actually. And it's like we are talking to an old man, an old wise man or woman, you know. And it helps me remember to keep myself on track, morally speaking, like psychologically speaking. I try to. It helps me to grow, to try to grow and develop myself as a person. How to say this name? The famous Chinese philosopher Confucius actually helped to write this book. It was one of its authors. over the several millennia that this book has. So in the I Ching pages, we often see many references to values that we should develop in ourselves, such as humility, commitment to our own individual path, stuff like that. So it's been really fascinating journey to me to use this book. Sometimes it's true that I get kind of pissed off with the book's answers, and I actually heard other users saying the same. Because sometimes I don't want to do the things the book recommends me to do. But I do find that when I don't follow its advice, I get in trouble in several different ways. So I try to follow the I Ching's advice because the guidance and the predictions have been very accurate. I've also started using a specific type of a Chinese astrology tool, I guess you could say, which is called, I'm definitely going to butcher this name, but Men Dun Jia. I think that's what the Chinese, how they spell it. Because I find it gives very accurate future predictions as well. And when I use it with my other oracles, I find the accuracy rate is even higher when I use them all as a team, you know. And I guess finally, I've also been experimenting with a specific meditation that has been helping me find missing objects. I keep losing objects all the time in my place, and it's been really helpful for me, and I also helped other people too. I've had good results with this strategy, and it's been really fun. I'm going to actually explain this meditation better in a future video, maybe. So Dani's question, the third question, I think, are you a psychic or a card reader? And I'm mostly a card reader. When I'm pulling cards, I mostly look at the cards and read the story. I remember the meanings that I learned over the years, and then I combine them in my mind to create a story and get an answer. I'm quite analytical and visual also, so I like to look at the cards and to look at the details. A specific animal, a face, an expression, an object, and the colors also, and lots of things, also the astrological stuff and stuff like that. And sometimes my intuition gets triggered by something that I see, some detail that catches my attention, and then I use that intuitive hit, so to speak, to complement the reading, I guess I could say. Okay, next question from Dani. Do you use tarot for anything other than readings, like spells, altar cards, display art, gifts? I don't use it for anything other than readings. However, I do want to start using it for manifestation, because I heard it can help us get more focused on our intentions, manifestation intentions. And apparently, if we pick a card, we can pick a card that represents to us a goal that we want to achieve, and then we kind of are able to draw the energy of the archetype of the card, from what I've understood, and also draw energy from the experiences from all the people that have been using the card since the creation of tarot. So it makes sense to me that this might help with adding power to our manifestation intentions, and I really want to try to do this in the future. I'm actually a big fan of manifestation techniques because I feel they're really powerful. I had a couple experiences already that made me feel that they can really help us achieve our goals. One time, I believe I manifested my dream dentist because I have dentist phobia, always have. I had a few bad experiences growing up, and I came to a place I was a few years ago, I was having to jump from dentist to dentist because they were hurting me and stuff like that. It was hard to park the car and stuff like that. So only after I did the manifestation technique, a simple one, writing stuff, I'll do a video about this. I found a dentist that actually fit my criteria. And yeah, and I go to this lady since several years ago because I'm very happy with her. And I also believe I was able to manifest a miracle house, really a miracle house, to rent a while ago, almost 2 years ago. I talked about this specific story in another video. No, in the other video, I briefly mentioned the story, but mostly I just shared the actual Ching reading that I did to help me and my husband make the decision to rent the house, which ended up being a very good decision. Okay, so now for Dustin questions. Have you ever taken a break from tarot? If yes, why? I did take several breaks from tarot over the years, several times. I think mostly it was because of two reasons. Because I was either very busy with life, college stuff, traveling, work, relationship dramas. I had a few of them. And also another reason, a very big reason, I often got very frustrated with when I was doing future predictions. Because actually doing future predictions is a big part of why I like to use tarot and my other oracles. I like to make decisions based on the most likely future, right? Like if I ask questions like, is this course going to be a good investment for me? Which house should I rent? Which expert should I hire? And I also help my mom with questions. Also, she often asks for support in these things and things like that. So it was very frustrating to me to realize that it was very random, the amount of accurate future predictions that I was getting with the tarot. Some days I would get an accurate prediction and other days I didn't. So I didn't understand this at the time and I got really frustrated. But then later I found Lenormand and I realized that it had a better accuracy rate than tarot for future predictions. This is at least for me, right? And even though I already found another reader saying, having this opinion as well. And so I started using tarot mostly for self-awareness and personal development questions. And later on, when I found the I Ching, it was even more exciting for me because, as I said, I feel that when I use several oracles together, I get a higher accuracy rate. So another question from Dustin. If you could live in any tarot card from the Rider-Waite, which would it be? My immediate reaction was the Star card. Not really sure why. I guess because I feel it's a very beautiful card, and I also love watching the sky, the stars, and I love nighttime. So the silence we get in the evenings, the me time with no kid to bother me with tantrums, you know. Yeah, so the random scrolling on YouTube and TikTok to watch puppy rescue videos, things like that. So yeah, I guess I would say the Star card. Another question from Dustin. Do you use the tarot in a predictive way? Do you predict the future? And so, I already talked about this. I don't use tarot specifically for predictions, but I find useful using the other oracles that I have. I never find, though, the future predictions to be 100% correct all the time. but for sure when I combine both Lenormand, the I Ching, and the Men Dun Jia, the accuracy is much higher than if I only use one of these oracles. And in my opinion, I've been thinking about this. I think what happens when we use tarot to predict future events, and I did this a lot before, and sometimes I also do it when I'm really wanting to know an answer and I get a bit anxious and everything. I start pulling cards from all types of decks that I have. But what I think happens is that when we are trying to predict future events, is that the tarot cards, and especially if we are too emotional about a topic, or if we had already a bit of time to process the situation, I feel the tarot cards that show up will be mostly only projecting either what we deeply desire to happen, or what we deeply believe will happen, or what we deeply fear that will happen. The powerful emotions have an importance here, I feel. And actually, sometimes we're right, sometimes this is my opinion, when what we believe, sometimes what we believe, desire, or fear that will happen will actually happen. But it doesn't happen all the time. And especially when we are very emotional towards a question, the accuracy goes way down, in my opinion and in my experience. I've also seen other professional readers saying this, and that's why I think many of us mostly only use tarot for self-help and personal development questions, not for future predictions. By the way, I'd love to know your thoughts about this. If you'd like to share in the comments, I love to learn other people's experiences with this. Okay, last question from Dustin, I think. Intuitive, rote, classic, modern, or mix? I'm not too sure about what each category means, but I think I'm mostly classic style or mixed with modern style. I read the cards with mostly the classic meanings of each card in mind, and the meanings that I collected from my own personal readings over the years. And sometimes I also use meanings that I've seen other tarot readers use and that I found to be accurate for me as well. So it's been really helpful, actually, watching other readers read. And I then see the progression of the cards in a spread, and I kind of create a story between them or a sequence of events sometimes. From Lisa, what are your most consistent tarot habits? I'm trying to do daily and weekly card pulls more consistently to predict and anticipate potential future problems. That's been really helpful, but I have a big problem in being consistent. I've been trying to be more consistent in journaling the most impactful readings about important events or important questions. That has been helping my learning journey. And also when I'm starting a reading, I'm actually consistent in this situation in asking the universe for help in trying to find accurate and useful information. That's probably the most consistent habit that I have when it concerns divination stuff. And from Lisa to another question, do you see tarot as a magical tool, a spiritual tool, a psychological, self-help tool, something else, all of the above? I really want to use tarot as a magical tool for manifestation. But magical manifestation, yeah, if we could consider this the same thing, maybe it's not. But I haven't done it yet, as I said. Otherwise, for me, I use all my decks, all my oracles, mostly for guidance on what to do on certain situations, how to deal with people to get the best advantage. Not advantage like upper hand, but like how to avoid conflicts and stuff like that. I had this situation many times with conflicts with my husband and my mom, and even outside people to help with my mom and renting stuff. And for divination, also understanding the past, the present, and trying to predict the future as well. And also as a method for self-help and psychological guidance. I use it to see how I can improve myself, work on my shadow aspects, stuff like that. Another question from Lisa. Do you collect tarot decks? Why or why not? I'm a very disciplined collector. I try to control myself to not buy many decks, even though I often want to, especially oracle decks. But also because I haven't found any tarot deck that I really love. I have 4 tarot decks in total. The first one, as I said, was offered to me by my mom. Then I think I bought this one when I was in college. Charman Caselli, I think it's the name. I'm going to write it down in the description below. And only a few years later did I buy my other 2 tarot decks, which are the only ones I use currently, which is this one, the Crystal Unicorn Tarot, and the Everyday Witch Tarot. And those decks and the Tao Oracle, which is based on the Ching, and also this one, the Sophia Ritu Lenormand, which is the best Lenormand deck I found. It's the prettiest. I have to find the deck pretty in order to use it. And I also bought these ones a couple years ago. 3, not sure. And I also have like 4 or 5 other oracle decks, which I use sometimes. So I wouldn't say I'm a very serious collector. Another question from Lisa. Do you have an aesthetic when it comes to the types of decks you enjoy? If so, what is it? I'm mostly into Rider-Waite clones. I like the clarity of the images. I like to see cute colors, also pastel colors, like the Crystal Unicorn Tarot has. I like to see animals. I like to see modern-looking characters also. People that I can identify with in a way. And decks that have several details. I like detailed cards because watching the cards details helps me trigger my intuition, I find. But my preferences change all the time. Sometimes I use a single deck for several months, and other times I change them even between clients or spreads that I'm doing for myself. And the final bonus question, do you personify your deck? I don't, but I'm pretty tempted to cut the borders of any future decks that I might get. I've been loving my borderless decks so much. These are all borderless, so I don't think I can use decks with borders anymore. Visually, they're not appealing to me. Okay, so I think that's it. It's been a long video. I hope you liked it. Thanks Dani, Dustin and Lisa for creating such a fun tarot tag. And thanks for watching everyone. See you in the next video. Bye bye.